Hayden Hackney's Middlesbrough career is set to come to an end this week, and that is because Middlesbrough have agreed a deal to sell him to the Premier League. According to reports first reported by the Telegraph, Everton have struck a deal to sign Hayden Hackney this summer. Now, Everton have always been the club that Hayden Hackney wanted to sign for the most. It was revealed a few weeks ago that a move to the Toffees was his preferred destination. But of course, there was a bit of a distance in valuation between the two clubs. There were suggestions that Everton were wanting to pay around about £10 million for Hayden Hackney, which was never going to happen, with Middlesbrough valuing him at closer to £20 to £25 million. And it seems like Middlesbrough have eventually got their way with regards to this deal. Now, according to these reports, the two sides have agreed a deal worth £25 million in total to sign Hackney, to take him to Merseyside. Now, the breakdown of this deal is it's not yet been confirmed what the overall fee will be. That £25 million is expected to include add-ons and that sort of thing. There's been suggestions that the initial fee is around about £16.5 million, with the rest set to be in add-ons. Of course, Middlesbrough have had a really good track record in recent years of having quite lucrative add-ons inserted into player deals with players like Jed Spence, Morgan Rogers. Both of these players, even this summer, continuing to make Middlesbrough some substantial money, really, as they represent England at the World Cup. Middlesbrough still getting seven-figure sums for both of these players, and with Morgan Rogers in particular, given that he's widely expected to leave Aston Villa this summer, potentially to move to Arsenal, which could earn Middlesbrough a fee worth possibly even up to £20 million, considering if that deal goes through for £100 million. So I digress on that one, but Hayden Hackney, certainly, this could be a really, really lucrative deal. And as I understand it, this is set to be a record transfer fee for Middlesbrough. This is set to be a record fee received for the club if that full valuation is met. If that fee does rise to £25 million, it will be a really, really substantial piece of business. Now, of course, in terms of the add-ons, we don't know the ins and outs of what that deal will represent, but it could well be based on Premier League appearances. It could include a sell-on clause if Everton are to look to sell him on. Of course, the natural trajectory that we see from players in the Championship is that they go to maybe a mid-table Premier League side, and then they maybe appear on the radar of clubs in the traditional top six or one of the European giants. And when that happens, Middlesbrough will be there to recoup a substantial fee for that, with a sell-on, potentially 10, 20%, something like that, which could be really, really fruitful. But for Middlesbrough, I think this summer, this deal represents a really good piece of business. Now, Hayden Hackney is moving into the final year of his contract. It's no secret at all that he's a player who's widely deserving of a shot at Premier League football. He's been absolutely outstanding for a couple of seasons now, but this season he's really taken his game to a new level. He was crowned Player of the Season in the Championship. Really was a cut above at Middlesbrough. Undoubtedly the standout star in the second tier this season. And it always sort of felt like this was going to be his last chance to try and get Middlesbrough promoted. He always said it was his dream to get Middlesbrough into the Premier League, and he came so close, of course, with Middlesbrough making it all the way to the playoff final. But that defeat against Hull City means that Middlesbrough will be in the Championship next season. And for Hayden Hackney, he's not going to be there with Middlesbrough, because quite frankly, he deserves this shot at the Premier League, and you don't want to pass up that opportunity. You don't want to miss that chance to move into the Premier League when you've got the talent that he does, because ultimately there's always a new kid emerging in the Championship, and then all of a sudden next summer it'll be that player who's of interest to these clubs. So it's certainly deserved for Hayden Hackney. He's certainly a player who deserves his opportunity to play in the top flight, and I think Everton could be a really, really good place for him to play. I think playing under David Moyes, a really experienced manager in the top flight, I think he'll know exactly how to get the best out of Hayden Hackney. I think in the first few months it'll be about helping him adapt to life in the top tier, and then ultimately after that, kicking on and maybe breaking into the England fold. He's already played a number of times for England under 21s, so doing so might not be too much of a stretch, but of course he will have to adapt to life in the top tier. But that's something that I could certainly see him being able to do. So I think if that fee of £25 million is correct, if that is the overall value of the deal, I think that represents really good business for Middlesbrough. As I said, with a year left in his contract, Middlesbrough's negotiating standpoint is potentially a little bit weaker. I mean, by the time you move to the January transfer window or next summer, you're looking at a very heavily discounted transfer fee. So the fact that Middlesbrough have been able to get such a substantial fee for him is really, really impressive. And the fact that that deal will be done really, really soon in the summer, really early on, potentially in the first couple of days of July, I think that will be a really, really strong position for Middlesbrough to be in as we move into the rest of the summer transfer window. Because of course Middlesbrough have a lot of business that we need to get done. There's a number of positions that we need to target. Of course, replacing Hayden Hackney is going to be a big part of that, but we do need possibly 2, maybe even 3 central midfielders in our squad, not to mention all of the attacking reinforcements and a left back and a couple of new goalkeepers. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And so for Middlesbrough to have this deal wrapped up, to have this exit confirmed, it means that we can get rid of all of the speculation. It means that the money's in the bank. It means that Middlesbrough have it there to go out there and try and reinvest into the squad and strengthen and ultimately make sure that Kim Hellberg's side are in the best possible shape going into this season as we look to go one step further than what we did last season when we got to the playoff final. Now, according to that report from the Telegraph, Middlesbrough are also interested in signing Oliver Skipp from Leicester City. Of course, Middlesbrough, as I said, will be looking for a replacement for Hayden Hackney. They will have a little bit of money in their pockets as a result of this deal. But according to that report, Leicester City are wanting around about £15 million for Oliver Skipp. And for me, that's just absolutely ludicrous. I don't think Middlesbrough should be paying £15 million for anybody, let alone someone who hasn't really impressed of late. Of course, Leicester City were an absolute car crash last season. I think you can question the mentality of that entire squad last term. So I think for Middlesbrough to go out and spend such a substantial amount of money on a player who has suffered back-to-back relegations with Leicester City, I think is a big gamble. I don't think we should be spending that much. I think, yes, we need to use that money wisely. I think it should be reinvested back into the squad, but certainly not on one player, and certainly not on Oliver Skipp, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of business that we could get done. If it is that initial fee worth £16 million, I think we could probably sign 3 or 4 players for that amount. And of course, that could come in the shape of some attacking additions. Now, it was reported a couple of days ago that Lewis Dobbin was a player on Middlesbrough's radar, currently with Aston Villa. He spent last season on loan with Preston, and Middlesbrough's interest in him is still very much apparent. But Middlesbrough, of course, have also been reported of late to be interested in signing Kyle Joseph from Hull City. Now, this was reported as interest. It was first revealed by Baropoulos on X that Middlesbrough were interested in signing him, and that's since kicked on, with Middlesbrough closing in on a deal worth £5 million to sign Kyle Joseph. Now, Hull City are in an interesting predicament. They need to sell players before January the 1st to comply with financial regulations. So he's a player who is expected to move on. And according to reports from Dom Shaw at the Northern Echo, he would be coming in as one of Middlesbrough's number 9s next season. He is a versatile player. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can also play as a number 10. But he would be coming in as one of Middlesbrough's number 9 options. Now, Middlesbrough do need an out-and-out striker this summer. He would be coming in to fill that role, but I don't think he would be the only player coming in for that role. I think the suggestion is we might be signing a couple of different out-and-out strikers just to really bolster Kim Hellberg's attacking line. So that's a deal to watch out for. Maybe once this money from Hayden Hackney settles in the bank account, we'll be able to go out and complete these sorts of deals with Middlesbrough returning back to pre-season training this week, looking to kick on ahead of the new season. But of course, we'll be doing so without Hayden Hackney, who looks all but set to join Everton in a deal worth £25 million. So I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think about Hayden Hackney's move to Everton. Does he deserve it? And is that £25 million fee in total? Is that a fair representation of how much Hayden Hackney means to Middlesbrough? Drop into the comments below. Let me know what you think. And if you have enjoyed this, please do hit like, please do hit subscribe, and I will catch up with you next time.